On July 8, 2014, a German man named Lars Mittank was spotted entering Varna Airport in Bulgaria. However, a short time later he would be spotted again on the same CCTV camera, running out of the airport at full speed. Subsequent cameras would catch Mittank as he continued to run out of the airport, climb a fence, and run off toward a nearby forest. This shot of Mittank far off in the distance just before he is unable to be seen is the last known footage of Lars, and to this day, no one knows where he went, where he is now, or if he is even still alive. It all started on June 30th, when Mittank and 5 of his friends traveled to Bulgaria on vacation. His friends reported that they noticed nothing wrong with Mittank at that time, and noted that he seemed to be in a good mood. However, the night before they were planning to fly back to Germany, they would go to a bar where Mittank and other patrons would get into an argument over a football match, which ultimately resulted in Mittank being separated from his friends, and not being seen for the rest of the night. The following morning, he would return to the resort injured and inform his friends that he had been attacked by 4 men related to the argument at the bar. He would be given antibiotics for an injured jaw and a ruptured eardrum by a doctor who had told him that he was not allowed to fly during the time he took the medication. As a result, Mittank managed to convince his friends to fly back to Germany without him, leaving him in Bulgaria alone. Although they left him in high spirits, Mittank's attitude would drastically change once he was alone, as he began to show signs of erratic behavior and paranoia. He would end up staying at a cheap hotel not far from the airport, and be captured on CCTV cameras pacing through the halls and lobby, as well as periodically looking through the windows, and on one occasion, even attempting to hide in the elevator. During this time, he would call his mother and express fears that he was being followed, and feared that the men were attempting to either rob or end his life. Around 1 a.m., he would leave the hotel and return about an hour later, although it is ultimately unknown what he did during this time. The following day, July 8th, Mittank would arrive at the airport and make another call to his mother stating that he was attempting to fly home, but also expressed fears that the men were getting closer. He would end up seeing a doctor at the airport who would note just how erratic Mittank seemed, but ultimately gave him the confirmation that he could fly home that day. However, when a construction worker from a nearby section of the airport that was under renovation entered the office, Mittank entered full panic mode, reportedly leaving his luggage, wallet, and all known belongings, and running out of the doctor's office and the airport, exclaiming something along the lines of, "I don't want to die here, I have to get out of here." This led to the now famous clip of him running through the airport that has gotten millions upon millions of views online. Unfortunately, he has never been seen again, and although there have been several alleged sightings, the current whereabouts of Lars Mittank are still unknown to this day. One theory behind his actions was a possible side effect of the medication he was given, but the doctor claims that Mittank never even filled out his prescription, leading the cause of his actions to be that much more baffling. Prisma Reyes was a 26-year-old single mother who on April 17, 2019, mysteriously vanished and was never seen again. That day, Prisma left her son with a babysitter as she went to work. However, later that evening, when she did not come to collect him, the babysitter contacted authorities and the search for Prisma had begun. Police, through a series of CCTV footage, were able to determine that Prisma had left work and headed to a local bar where she had lunch with her ex-boyfriend. And although he would eventually leave, she would stay and continue drinking, with some reports saying that she remained at the bar for over 3 hours, until she was either denied any more alcohol or was kicked out after having a verbal altercation with staff. She would then head to her ex-boyfriend's apartment and get into a road rage altercation in which she would point a weapon at another driver. The police were called, but she would already be gone by the time they arrived on scene. Eventually making it to her ex-boyfriend's apartment, even though he was not there at the time. She would be heard talking to someone on the phone by witnesses, but it is unclear who she was talking to. Although there were cameras at the building, not every angle was covered, and eventually, Prisma would walk off camera and never be seen again, leaving her car parked just outside of the building. Police have commented that usually there are signs or clues that they could follow in cases like this, sometimes like credit card uses or phone records, but in this specific case, when Prisma went missing, everything stopped. Her ex was able to offer what police refer to as a strong alibi, and there was no belief that the road rage incident had anything to do with her disappearance. Prisma moved to Dallas from Mexico while young and earned a scholarship and joined the National Guard, even eventually becoming a paralegal. Her family said that she was extremely hardworking, and everything she did was to give her son Dominic a better life, which in my opinion makes her disappearance all that much more disturbing. On December 20th, 2018, which at the time of uploading was 4 years and 1 day ago, a man by the name of Michael Stewart ran into a friend at a local barbershop. Security camera footage shows Michael greeting the man, later identified as Michael's friend, Angelo Nasimi, before eventually leaving together. Some reports would also say that the two were spotted at the bar later, but this is the last known recorded sighting of Stewart. Stewart would ultimately be reported missing after he failed to come and visit his 4-year-old daughter, whom he had reportedly never missed a visit with before. As the police investigated, however, they seemed confident in saying that the disappearance was likely a murder, despite the fact the whereabouts of his body remained unknown. His friend Angelo would actually be arrested over charges that alleged he had beat his girlfriend, and as a result, would become suspect number 1 for Michael's disappearance, as his girlfriend would claim that he had killed a man and that she was forced to help him dump the body in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Police would ultimately charge Angelo with Michael's murder, but his lawyer would call these claims baseless. Despite this, however, some disturbing pieces of evidence would come forward, including the fact that the landlord that owned the apartment in which Angelo had stayed completely tore up the apartment, including ripping out the sink and the floor the day after Stewart's disappearance. Police believed this to be a cover-up after discovering that Angelo had supplied his landlord with drugs. Furthermore, security camera footage shows Angelo and his girlfriend dumping what police said could have been a body in a dumpster in New Jersey. Although he initially declined to accept the plea deal offered to him, as the jury was being selected for the trial, Angelo had a change of heart and begged to accept the plea deal of 13 years in jail for manslaughter. Despite the fact he accepted the plea and admitted guilt for the killing of Michael Stewart, to this day it is unknown just where his body had gone. Police would search a landfill in the neighboring state of Pennsylvania, but they would not find Stewart. The leading theory was that the body was likely picked up by Waste Management and incinerated. It is also unclear what exactly happened that evening between the two men that led to the untimely slaying of Stewart just days before Christmas. On December 25th, 2020, a 26-year-old woman known as Jawahar Hedgie was reported missing. Her family had not actually heard from her since the 22nd, but reported it as soon as they had not heard from her long enough that they suspected something was wrong. The police were quickly able to identify and locate her car on Shaded Canyon Drive in Henderson, Nevada, only Hedgie was not in it, but what they did manage to find inside instead was Hedgie's wallet and her phone. Her keys were also laying on top of the hood of the car. This is odd because if something unfortunate had happened, like if Hedgie was robbed, there's no reason that her wallet, phone, and keys would all be left. Police were later able to obtain surveillance footage of her walking through a construction site near the Armagosa Trail, which could not have been more than a 20-minute walk from where she had left her car, leading police to determine that she had left her car and her belongings by choice, and not because she was forced to do so. However, other than this footage, Hedgie would not be seen again. The police, her family, and her friends would perform search after search of the area, but ultimately was not able to find any sign of Hedgie, or any clues as to where she had gone, or where she was now. That was, however, until September 6, 2021, when a rock climber near Black Mountain came across a human skull and called the police. Upon investigation, the police were able to locate the remainder of the skeleton and determined them to unfortunately be the skeletal remains of Jawahar Hedgie. Although many waited with bated breath hoping to find out the cause of her death from the Clark County Coroner's Office, they were ultimately unable to do so. This could be for a number of reasons, but most likely due to the fact that the remains were exposed to the elements for almost an entire year, and as a result, inadvertently hid any potential clues to her untimely demise. Some, however, theorize it could have been the result of a mental health episode, but many who knew her say that she never showed any signs of struggling with depression or similar conditions, and had never mentioned anything like it before. But I guess we never really know what's going on in someone's head. On March 21st, 2011, a 24-year-old woman by the name of Rebecca Corium went missing while working on a cruise ship known as the Disney Wonder. Around 9 a.m. that morning, Rebecca did not start her shift. She would be paged several times on the ship's intercom system, but still nothing. An investigation of her room would also reveal that she was not there either. By all accounts, Rebecca had simply disappeared. One camera would capture Rebecca in an employee break room at 5:54 a.m. that morning, as she seemed to pace around while talking to someone on the phone, but not to her parents. You see, just a day prior to her disappearance, Rebecca had let her mom know through Facebook that she would be calling the following day, but they said that they never received a call from her, meaning the person whom Rebecca was speaking to before her disappearance is unknown. The camera would also capture a coworker approaching Rebecca before reportedly asking if everything was okay, which would result in Rebecca abruptly hanging up the phone and clearly mouthing the words, "Yeah, fine." before walking away. It is obvious, however, that the most likely cause of Rebecca's disappearance was that she either slipped, fell, jumped, or was pushed off the boat as it traveled from Los Angeles to Mexico. Several unnamed individuals who claim to have been on the ship at the time say that it's a well-known secret among the crew, and Disney knows or knew far more than they chose to share. This is, however, where the story becomes incredibly theory-based. Some claim Rebecca had a lover whom she would frequently get into heated arguments with, like on the phone that morning. Others claim she may have slipped and fallen from the track that circled the boat along the edge. Some, like the former Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, John Prescott, theorize she may have been a victim of a crime. I've even heard some reports that Rebecca allegedly partook in the use of cocaine. However, the common thread always seems to be that Disney knew the answer. Rebecca's family seems to have grown frustrated with their alleged handling of the situation and subsequent investigation, claiming the detectives who were announced to have spent days on board searching and interviewing crew only spent a single day on the ship and only ever spoke to a few crew members. This information allegedly coming from the investigators themselves. The theories continue to grow, so let me know if you'd ever want to see a full video just dedicated to Rebecca's disappearance. But as far as we know now, that's it. The case is still technically ongoing, but the chances of Rebecca surviving if she really did fall over are slim, despite the fact that the Coast Guard failed to find her body. On the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance, Rebecca's family would receive an email from a woman claiming that she was 85% sure that she had spotted Rebecca in Venice. Although they doubt the validity of these claims, they find the prospect that Rebecca may still be alive somewhere at least a little bit comforting. Well, that's it for now. Be sure to like the video to help the algorithm and subscribe to see more content like it. If you enjoyed this video, why not check out this one, where instead of disappearing, we talk about people who are lucky to be alive. I'll see you next time.